Hey, welcome to another episode of the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs podcast. I'm your host, Eric, joined as always by my co host, Mike, and of
Yep.
course, his co host. And what's your name, bud?
Sean?
And we're joined by Sean as well. Welcome to the show, Sean.
Thank you.
All right, we might as well get right into it. Huge weekend, Clash at the Castle, and of course, All Out weekend. Last Thursday, there was no show since I decided to be a drunken fool and go out and watch Thursday Night Football. I'll just be candid and say that's what I did.
Can't blame you. It's football
Yeah.
season.
Right? And tonight, there's another great game on in just a little bit, so we're not going to have quite as long as the show as we normally would. But let's get right into it. I was absolutely shocked that Drew McIntyre did not win the undisputed Universal Championship.
That was horrible. And
Right?
I think if it was a week later, they would have had to pull what they did at Unforgiven 2001.
Yeah.
And when the Twin Towers got attacked and then they gave the belt to Kurt Angle, I think with it being in Wales,
Right. The passing of the
a week
Queen.
later,
Mhm.
right after the Queen died, it would have been a Drew McIntyre title reign.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, even if it was just a short-term thing.
Yeah. But I was flabbergasted. We were watching it. We were actually late to my mom's birthday party because we were watching the end of that match. And I don't understand why Drew's not the champion now.
Yeah, I don't get it. What is it? Because Drew set a record for the lowest attendance of a title reign? There was a pandemic. Nobody could go.
And then I'm hearing rumors Roman's not going to lose the title till next year now.
I heard that, and man, that would be infuriating. Look, I used to hate the long and meaningless title reigns of Brock Lesnar. Man, now I kind of long for the regularity of Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't even know what to say at this point. Fine, Roman's been a dominant champion. And if this title reign is all just about showing his dominance, mission was accomplished a year ago.
Yeah, it was.
And it was accomplished when he beat John Cena at SummerSlam 21. Let me ask, Sean, your thoughts on John Cena?
He's my favorite wrestler.
Nice. I love that he's the kid's favorite wrestler. I think that's awesome. He stands for everything you should believe in, bud.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend too much time because I know I could easily rant for a good hour on how Drew McIntyre deserves to be champion. And nobody's paid more dues than him. And I get this is WWE, everybody works hard, but nobody's worked harder than Drew McIntyre.
No one has.
And no one's just shown a general appreciation for their spot like Drew McIntyre has.
And it's been a long time, maybe since John Cena was a regular.
Yeah.
A good top baby face with Drew. Someone who has that natural dynamic of the fans can get behind and cheer, like Drew McIntyre has.
Right.
And it was his home island. Let the man win the belt finally.
Right. If there was ever a spot tailor-made to have him win the title. Stone Cold Steve Austin won the title in Houston.
Yep. The British Bulldog won the Intercontinental title at Wembley. That was massive.
Right.
And then we had this letdown for everyone, I thought.
I was already planning to I knew that they had to have a new shirt for Drew McIntyre, the new champion. And in my mind, I was like, as soon as the show is over, I'm going to go on and order that shirt.
Yep.
Yeah. Much to my wife's dismay, I would have spent money on a new
shirt.
Yeah, and a wrestling shirt. Because Lord knows I don't have enough of those.
No, especially I haven't gotten a WWE shirt in a while, but the
Yeah.
one box that comes out, Pro Wrestling Loot, they have different
Yeah,
theme shirts in them. Some of them are okay. Some of them are a little hokey that they do.
sure. Now, is that like a subscription that you have to pay for every month, or do you have to like?
Yeah, it was a subscription service.
Okay.
But then finally I canceled it. They did like the knockoff micro brawler, the pint size all star. That would pay for itself online for buying the whole
Yeah.
box. If you got a chase, you actually only made money on the box.
Oh wow.
And then it was an autograph, which someone has pretty much every 8x10 autograph that came out of those boxes
Mm-hmm.
in his collection. And it was a couple weird little things.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd seen something about that, and I'd looked into it once, and I just thought, I was kind of hard pressed for money at the time, and thought, man, like this would be like a big luxury purchase I would make would be to get a subscription like this. If
Yeah. Now the Pro Wrestling Crate that
Mhm.
that seems to be because they are doing the shop AEW Pro Wrestling
Yeah.
teams. It seems to be every month heavily AEW themed now. Which
I get, like they're kind of behind AEW, and whereas now Fanatics is behind WWE.
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Which I would think that would make for a better shirt selection, and I've noticed that their shirt game has gone up.
Yep.
Because man, like it was always the standard black T-shirt with like I've got a closet full of black T-shirts, and man, in the heart of summer, you can't wear those. And I'm
It's
like,
tough.
and like, can you give me a shirt that I could wear on like the 4th of July, or like you've had enough, American Pie wrestlers that we could have some.
Yep. And that's what I liked when AEW started doing shirts and
Mm-hmm.
Pro Wrestling T started doing shirts. It was different colors besides black all the time.
Right.
Because it was always WWE. WCW shirts were always black.
Right.
And then the next big wave to come out was the Bullet Club shirts and New Japan, and they were always black.
They were always black, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I did. I think I was at a Hot Topic somewhere, and I saw the Bullet Club shirt, and I saw it in my size, and I was just like, well, look, I have to get it.
It's there.
Yeah, I'm just like, it's basically begging me to buy it.
Yeah.
And like, and when I came home, of course, my wife yelled at me and like, why did you spend money on a wrestling T-shirt? And I just said to her, I'm like, hon, like, settle down. The shirt is going to hear you if you talk like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to give you a super kick. And I can't stop that.
No. You gotta look.
Your own drawers full of wrestling t-shirts?
Yeah. That's pretty much what my drawers are. It's wrestling T-shirts.
Sure.
Yeah. It happens.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And it's funny, they always seem to sell out of the men's double XL, like, right away. Of
Yes.
every shirt.
Yep. Yeah, and I love when WWE does the clearances. It's always small and medium.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There are no small, medium wrestling fans. Like,
No.
I've been to shows.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's switch gears and let's talk about the subject I think is probably going to take up most of our show, and that is the AEW's version of the Brawl for All, the post All Out press conference.
Oh boy, I didn't even know what to expect with that. I originally thought it was a work.
Mm-hmm.
The way that Punk came out, Tony Khan sitting right next to him, I thought it was a work to get all the fans going, but then all of a sudden they're all suspended. And I'm just like, wait a minute, because AEW's done a really good job blurring the lines of reality here and there.
Well, and it kind of makes you wonder if it's still a work, because think about it. CM, like all those guys are suspended. They strip CM Punk of the title and the whatchamacallit, the trios title. Well, like it's not like the trios title's got like some great clout that's been around for decades. Like it's
Right.
just come around. The
Right.
AEW world title, you want to make your world title mean something, which makes me think it's probably, if it's a work, Chris Jericho is going to become champion. If it's not, Moxley becomes champion.
Well,
That's my thought on that, because if it wasn't a work, then why would you just put the belt on the runner up?
right. Well, did you see all of Dynamite?
Yes, I did see all of Dynamite. Yeah, at the end. Or I'm sorry.
Danielson.
Yeah. So whatchamacallit? Brian Danielson. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was so fixed on the idea it was going to be Moxley Jericho that it's like
Yeah.
in my mind, even though I remember seeing it was Danielson,
Right.
I still thought it was going to be Jericho.
I really, really hope they put the belt on Danielson next week.
I do too, and I think it should. And boy, wouldn't this be great if CM Punk's not? I could finally get the match I've been craving.
That Iron Man match.
The Iron Man match, Danielson versus Punk.
Yeah.
Just please, it's all I ask. I don't ask that much out of life. Like,
yeah, that's what fans want to see, and that's finally what we can have. I mean, the other problem was I don't know if they were all just exhausted from the night known as All Out.
Sure, like you said, it was a 5-hour show.
When you added the pre-show in, it was 5 hours. He fell asleep watching it.
Sure.
AEW. It was that long, the pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah, I did fall asleep.
It was, and then the problem was, talk about booking that makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
When we were talking about the McIntyre not winning the titles, how the Acclaim did not win the tag titles in Chicago was beyond me.
Yeah, I almost feel like this is an attempt to, like, with Triple H taking over, Keith Lee's got to be like Jones and to get out of AEW and get back with WWE because he was a Triple H dude.
Yeah.
And like I almost feel like that was an effort for AEW to kind of keep him and be like, hey, come on, stick around with us.
Yeah.
And we'll keep the tag belts on you.
Yeah. I don't know, because it was just the Acclaim is so over with the AEW crowd right now.
Right.
And in Chicago, people were just cheering for him the whole time. I thought maybe Swerve and Lee were going to turn heel and give them a heel tag team run, but they didn't even do that. It was they won, and then it was just like the life got sucked out.
And that's got to be something that, like, that's something Vince McMahon would definitely take note of.
Yeah.
And Triple H would. You hope Tony Khan will too, and just say, okay, let's at least learn from this. And no, dude, like, there's got to be a message sent to like the referee to tell the guys, hey, we're changing it up now. The Acclaim's going over.
Yeah, they got to switch on the fly sometimes because
yeah,
that's one of them now. Unless they really want to have this Grand Slam event next week, because they're having the rematch from All Out.
Sure. And I still think the Acclaim might win the rematch. And I'm ecstatic if they do, and I get to watch the rematch for free.
Yep.
But where then is the motivation? But like, if the Acclaim win the tag team titles at the pay-per-view at All Out, I'd have been disappointed that I missed it.
Yeah.
If the Acclaim win them on a free show at Arthur Ashe, well, then what is to encourage me to get the next AEW pay-per-view?
Yeah. And then another thing that didn't make sense to me with All Out, two of their better matches were on the pre-show. And
I get the idea of putting one of a better match on there because you want to try and draw people in to buy the show.
Right. But yeah, two of the better matches, the All Atlantic Championship match between Pac and Kip Sabian was really good.
Okay.
Then I guess the main event of the pre-show, which should have been on the main card, was Eddie Kingston against Ishii.
Oh, wow. That was on the pre-show?
That was on the pre-show. Yet we had Jade Cargill and Athena on the main card.
I mean, that's one thing I'll give WWE credit for. They know when they have, and I don't want to come across as sexist when I say this, but a meaningless women's match. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, like no, like this secondary women's title, nobody cares. Like, you
Nobody.
don't have enough traction in your company to have it yet.
It's not only that, but I think it's on the wrong person.
Yeah.
Because they put it on Jade. They're trying to do this Goldberg-esque. Now it's 37-0 her streak.
Yeah,
And
boy, are they milking it too.
they're milking it. They have the baddies with her. It's not working. Like,
No.
if they would, I think they would have been better if they put the title in the tournament final on Ruby over Jade. Because people could have gotten behind Ruby Soho. And then, but I don't see the momentum with Jade. I think Athena has been a waste with the Jade Cargo. That's why I'm kind of happy to see her next week in that 4-way match for the interim women's title. Even though I don't know how long Thunder Rosa supposedly requested her release,
So it may be more than interim.
so it might be more than interim. So I
It's
don't know.
funny because while I liked the idea when I first heard it that they were going to do these interim titles when a champion gets injured, like I liked that idea, and then I thought, well, what happens if they just don't bring somebody back? What happens if someone goes all Jason Jordan on them and is done for their career?
Well, then I guess they're going to be the full-time champion.
Yeah.
Or are they going to have an interim, and an interim wrestle for
the unified championship? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That would be interesting, and it's something like that. Again, that's why WWE's never done the interim champion thing.
Yeah. See, that's what I don't get. When did WWE ever get rid of that 30-day title defense rule?
It just, to me, it kind of went away when Brock Lesnar became champion, and just because I remember when he first won the title from John Cena in his first reign as a part-time champion.
Yeah.
I remember thinking to myself, well, okay, if you want to put the belt on Brock, that's fine, but he's got to be here to defend it.
Right.
And if he doesn't want to defend it on Raw or SmackDown, all right, but he's got to defend it every pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And he's got to be at Raw and SmackDown and to build up those programs. And of course, right out of the gate, the first month, September, so he wins the belt in August against John Cena. September, he defends it against Cena. And we have the near cash in by Rollins, broken up by John Cena.
Yep.
And then he's gone. And I'm like, well, so where's Brock Lesnar? And remember, they had just unified the WWE World Title, 6 months earlier, or 9 months earlier?
About that, because that was Cena and Orton in that ladder match, I believe.
Right. And I'm thinking, I'm like, well, why would you unify the belts and then put the belts on Brock Lesnar?
Of all
Put
people.
one of them on Brock Lesnar if you really feel the need, you must. And then have the other title there to be defended.
Right.
And now here we are again, Roman Reigns. They unify the belts to put them on Roman. What? Did you really feel like you needed to make him more dominant? Or was it because you wanted to unify the belts?
I think they wanted to unify the belts because they're on a good unification kick.
Yeah.
WWE. I mean, they've unified all the NXT titles at Worlds Collide. So,
which was an awesome show.
Yes.
But it was basically billed to put over the regular NXT guys and to bury the NXT UK. Which we kind of predicted.
Right.
Although, Pretty Deadly, although they had already debuted on NXT and been NXT tag champs.
Yeah. That was the one that kind of threw me through the loop when Pretty Deadly of all teams won. That was the one that caught me off surprise.
Yeah, I'll admit, I liked your idea of Gallus winning.
Yeah.
and with the Roderick Strong turn, or Matt Kemp. I mean, that would have worked too.
Right. Well, now Matt Kemp turned, but
Right.
and I don't know what they're doing with Roddy.
Yeah, I would assume now when Roddy comes back, he's back in with Diamond Mine and they're all right. Like,
All right. I think there's going to be a new member of Diamond Mine soon too,
that'd be good.
because I think Bobby Fish might become a member of Diamond Mine.
That would be awesome. Either Bobby Fish or, and I know like there's been rumors about this guy not doing well in developmental, but Gable Steveson.
That would be good too.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of taken back here, and Gable Stevenson's not doing well, but in developmental because of his Olympic background. One would think he'd jump right in, and because Chad Gable's done really well, Kurt Angle's done really well. I'm kind of
But for every one of those guys, how many have tried to make that jump and failed miserably?
Yeah, I guess that is true, but
which we don't know. Yeah,
we don't know. But like I was thinking of the Olympians, those two really.
Sure.
Yeah.
And look, it's funny. Did you watch the Kurt Angle special on A&E?
I have not watched the Kurt Angle one yet.
It's really good. I got a kick out of when he was talking about it when he originally was going to WWE. Like he wasn't like he hadn't grown up a fan of it. Like he didn't understand its inner workings, and all he knew is it was a scripted show, and like it required athleticism. And he said as part of his stipulations, he wanted to be that he never lost a match.
Yeah.
And Vince McMahon kind of smirked. It's like, yeah, you don't know what we do here, do you, buddy?
No.
I'm not making you that promise.
No, that you can't do.
Yeah.
No,
and I think he was just like, wait, what? It's a scripted show. You can make that promise if you want. And it's because he didn't really understand.
Right. Originally, that wasn't even the first pro wrestling company he made an appearance for.
Right.
Yeah.
ECW. I was at the ECW arena that night. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the night that the Sandman was crucified by Raven.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's when Angle said, don't even air me on TV.
Yeah, I remember seeing him. I'm like, oh, wow, that's the Olympian Kurt Angle. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And because my dad and I had watched the Olympics that year, we watched Kurt Angle win.
Yeah.
And I thought it was the coolest thing. Now here he is in pro wrestling. I'm like, hey, he's an Olympic wrestler, now making the jump to pro wrestling. Perfect.
Exactly. But didn't pan out that way.
Not that night.
Not that night. Boy, oh boy.
So, okay. So what were we talking about? Okay, the unification kick. Like, one, I really wish they'd unify the women's titles. They should be able to do that, I would think, at WrestleMania. I would some variation of Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch.
Yep.
And whether it's Ronda holding the SmackDown title, Becky holding the Raw title, and then like one of them wins the Royal Rumble. Although it would be their second, one of them would get their second Royal Rumble win, whichever one won it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, if you're going to have two-time Women's Rumble winner, I don't think you could go wrong with either one of those two.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
And I feel like Charlotte's a big enough deal to where you could give her a WrestleMania match, like say like against a Liv Morgan or even like a Nikki ASH or something like that. And it could mean something like in that like top dog versus underdog role.
Yeah. Kind of like how Drew wrestled Happy Corbin this year.
Sure.
Yeah. Which to me was a huge top guy against underdog type of role, which
right. And I really felt like that was another situation they were trying to. I had heard about the idea that they were doing this Clash at the Castle on Labor Day, and I remember thinking, oh well, they're going to do this with Drew and Corbin so he can have another win at WrestleMania. They can kind of bolster him up, make him look stronger, and Drew was going to win the title at Clash at the Castle.
And surprise, he didn't.
I mean, I remember at the time thinking that they were going to do this. That, well, going into the Royal Rumble, I thought both champions would retain, Brock and Roman,
Yep.
and then Drew McIntyre would win the Royal Rumble, and it would be like a triple threat. Like, the two of them argue. Like, they had the whole Roman and Brock come out, and which one is he going to choose? And they're just arguing with each other about which one that Drew should choose, and then Drew just comes out and says, "Damn it, I'll take on you both,"
Right.
and have a nice triple threat. And I thought that would have been cool, in
That
kind
would
of
be
a
great.
la the Becky Lynch and Charlotte and Ronda match.
Yeah. But for some reason, they blew that too.
Yeah,
And see, I can't even say the Clash at the Castle is Vince's fault because
he wasn't in charge anymore.
he wasn't in charge. That would have been very typical Vince McMahon booking to have Roman still hold the title. I thought with it being different with Triple H, maybe we'd get the Drew title run we want.
Now I'm just convinced that they're never, like, it almost screams like what happened with Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
When Ziggler won the world title and the Money in the Bank cash in, lost it because of his concussion issues to Alberto Del Rio. In fact, I know he suffered a concussion in the match, and they made the call mid-match to put the belt on Del Rio and to turn Del Rio heel.
Yep.
And after that, man, it was just every time it's just like, okay, when are we going to get the Dolph Ziggler Alberto Del Rio one-on-one straight up match? And we never ever did.
No, and I think that was such a waste because that would have been a good top feud. But we never got that. And maybe that's the thing with Drew now that can.
Yeah, I wondered, like, are we now going to see Drew end up being pushed down the card to where now, like, he can't even win the Intercontinental title, like from Gunther or something?
I don't know. Well, that was the match of Clash of the Castle.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah.
That match stole the damn show.
Yeah. Yeah, Gunther
Someone called the Royal Guard. Those two stole the show.
Yeah. Yeah, that was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And then for another match that weekend that I've really thought highly of was the Breaker Bate match.
That was an incredible match, too. Braun Breaker, to me, has established he can wrestle anybody and make anybody look good.
Yeah.
And I really, when I first saw him, I thought his looks, I'm like, great, he's like the typical Vince McMahon main event meathead.
Yep.
And that's really what I thought of him. And, didn't like him, didn't buy into him at all. Didn't want him to beat Ciampa, didn't want him to beat Dolph Ziggler when Ziggler won the NXT title.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, like, since then, he's delivered banger after banger.
He really has. And another guy who delivers banger after banger is Tyler Bate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Between his matches with Walter, a.k.a. Gunther, even his match against Trent Seven in the title tournament that they aired like the week before they unified the titles.
Yeah, which was weird.
Well, I think because they tape delay him so much, those NXT UK shows. So,
which, I mean, I'm okay with, because basically you can just send, like, you could send Braun Breaker over there for NXT Europe, and he could film 6 weeks worth of stuff there.
Yeah.
Like, in 2 days, fly back home, and be back for your next NXT regular showing. And it could look like, wow, he's bouncing around from continent to continent.
Yep. And I think whoever the champions are when NXT Europe kicks off, I think they're all going to be hopping back and forth.
Boy, they're going to put on the Ric Flair kind of miles.
Yeah. Yeah, because Mandy Rose is already talking about it in one of her promos.
And you gotta hope that they did some kind of, like, photo shoot with her in front of, like, the Eiffel Tower and all that other stuff,
Hopefully they do.
I'm sure they've got it all set up and ready to go.
I'm sure. And then now it looks like we're going back to black and gold.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I don't know why they ever switched it up to NXT 2.0. It was working, they broke it, and now they're going back to the
To
original.
me, it just screamed of one of those things where Vince McMahon wanted to establish Triple H was not in charge of NXT anymore.
Yeah.
And now that Triple H is back in charge of the whole thing, he's like, no, I run this. It's going back to black and gold.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing that and hopefully return to those traditions. Although, really, I feel like NXT kind of like they're supposed to like give you the next superstars. I think what instead they did was give you the next wave of what pro wrestling is going to be, instead of these huge mega cards that are like 12 matches in 6 hours.
Yeah.
We're going to get 5 great matches in about 2.5 to 3 hours, and they're just going to go out there and tear the house down.
Which is the way it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even for Extreme Rules, I think they've only announced 1 or 2 matches.
Right.
So, and that's a little bit less than a month away.
Right. Yeah. It's what, 3 weeks from Saturday.
Yeah, I think October 8th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's going to sneak up on us.
Yeah, that's going to be coming up soon.
I'm curious as to what they might do. I still think with basically having the tag champions and the universal champion, like all that stuff unified, I really feel like they shouldn't do any kind of draft. I feel like they should just like have like the traditional Survivor Series kind of rules. Like maybe have Drew trying to compete for a championship match. Like I'd love to see like Roman come out like this Friday and like talking about like what the state of his challengers are. Drew trying to get into it and set it up for like say Survivor Series, Team Drew versus the Bloodline.
Yeah.
Team Drew wins. Drew finally gets another title match at TLC. And if Roman wins, it's to the back of the line with Drew McIntyre.
Yeah. Yeah, because now you have 4 members of the Bloodline.
And Sammy.
And Sammy, yeah, Sammy. So you could have a 5-on-5.
Honorary Oos.
The honorary Oos. I keep on forgetting about that. So yeah, that's a team of 5.
I mean, you could do Drew, Kevin Owens, and I'm trying to think of who else might join them.
Drew, Kevin Owens, either depending on who the feud is going to be with the Usos.
Sure. Like the Street Profits, maybe.
Right. Who wins this fatal 4-way match on Friday night? It could be the New Day, could be the Street Profits, I think. I don't think it's going to be Los Lotharios, even though I'd like to see a little bit of a change.
Well, I have a prediction.
What's your prediction?
Yeah.
Maybe Dominic Mysterio.
Well, he's in the Judgment Day, so.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. They're going to draw that out for as long as they can.
I really think, well, and here, another idea for Survivor Series. Team Ray versus the Judgment Day.
Yep.
And Ray's refusing to face his son.
Yeah.
If Team Judgment Day wins, Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio, or Ray retires. Yeah. And it's one of those things where then like Ray starts to walk away and like, because I'm thinking Judgment Day wins and Edge is trying to talk Ray and they'll just go out there and beat some sense into your son, just give him the tough love.
Yeah.
I really think if they play their cards right, this could last into the Royal Rumble and into WrestleMania season.
Yeah, I think it could last into WrestleMania.
And I want it to be where they don't have an actual one-on-one match until Dominic versus Ray, WrestleMania. Much like Brett and Owen, much like Undertaker and Kane.
Yeah, just do the slow build up. Let us see the Judgment Day against Ray and Edge and, well, Yeah, I wonder who else they would get in.
Oh yeah, maybe he would join the bloodline. Remember, he came back and attacked the Miz.
Yeah.
He could join.
Dexter Loomis.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Yeah. Because he's a good creepy character.
he is a very good creepy character.
Yeah, so maybe he could be with the Judgment Day to fit in there.
Stop trying to steal my ideas.
Yeah, I know. It was a good idea.
That was a good idea, Sean. Glad you thought of it, Mike.
Yes. Then I don't know. Like they've got so much they could do. I hope they stay away from the Raw versus SmackDown.
Yeah,
They're
like
blending all the
it's
titles
tired.
together. It's tiring. Then you can maybe even do Imperium team up with
Yes.
the Viking Raiders.
Yeah, Imperium and the Viking Raiders versus
Like the Brawling Brutes and throw two
Sure.
other guys. Yeah.
yeah, we can find somebody.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, if you're gonna do like who could join Drew McIntyre for? I know I had this idea in my head. I thought, okay, if it's a Drew, the New Day, Kevin Owens, and my fifth guy was gonna be Drew McIntyre going to an old friend and appealing to Sheamus, saying, "Look, we don't have to be best buddies, but damn it, we get together and we fight and we tear the house down."
Right.
You know, what was their saying? Kicking ass and drinking pints.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, it's like getting back to those. Like, I think that would be cool.
Right. Or even do it Drew, Kevin Owens, and the Brawling Brutes.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't mind seeing Pete
Ooh,
Dunne in that
yeah, that'd be good.
match. Ridge Holland, I like Ridge. I think
I do
he's
too. And
think-
I've always liked Butch or Pete Dunne.
Right. And that's one thing I don't know what they're trying to do here. They turn the Butch, but then he shows up in his Pete Dunne gear again.
Which I'm fine with him being the Pete Dunne character as Butch.
Right.
Like, because I don't like the whole saying, oh, well, this is his nickname. To me, at least they kind of explained that name change.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's a nickname. They all called him Butch. Like, okay. Like, I can kind of get on board with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At least they explained it. They gave us
Yeah, the whole Kaylee Ray becoming Alba Fire, like that doesn't make sense to me.
the one that really didn't make sense to me because she was already established outside of pro wrestling.
Yes.
Was Casey Catanzaro to Katana Chance. Like really?
Yeah.
Like she was a major network star on American Ninja Warrior. Let her keep her name.
Right. You'd think they'd just embrace it and go with it.
Yeah. Yeah, but they did all these weird name changes. I just don't understand.
They changed her name.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what they might do. Like, I wonder if this could be a case where, like, you know, maybe Drew in the attempt to try and get to Roman Reigns, maybe he faces Solo Sikoa at Extreme Rules, and like maybe like they have an Extreme Rules match, and basically the rest of the Bloodline interferes and costs Drew the match. Solo Sikoa gets the win, and so that leads to this whole the team Drew versus team Bloodline.
Yeah, that could work. And then another name Drew might go to, even though they're enemies, Karrion Kross.
Ooh.
Kind of have an enemy of my enemy is my friend type deal.
That could get interesting. That could get real interesting.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, Cross's character has kind of been like that mixture of he's not really a good guy, he's not really a bad guy, because like he'll feud with anybody,
Mm-hmm.
but he still does heel things. Like, ooh, that could work.
That could work out well. I think that would be potential for us.
I mean, and I guess you could do that instead of having Kevin Owens on that team. And you could have Kevin Owens maybe on a team that like is trying to face like Theory, the Alpha Academy.
Right.
You could throw a couple other guys in there. I don't know how many actual survive. Like, I don't want to see them overloaded. That was the one thing I used to knock WWE for, like, long ago, was when they'd have like 5 or 6 of these multi-man match, like Survivor Series elimination matches, and it's like, okay, like this, like I'm not really getting this. Like,
No. No, the one that made no sense to me was that 1 year they did NXT. I get they were trying to build NXT up
sure,
against the war with AEW, but it was kind of like too much going on with the 3 teams of 5.
yeah, and I think they realized it too, because that was the only time they ever did it.
Yeah.
Now it was cool. It made you want to watch all 3 shows to see, like, who was going to attack where.
Yep.
And that was the one thing that was really missing in 21, like in 20 and 21, where you couldn't really have because you couldn't have that many people in a building at once.
Yep. Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what they're going to do this year because they're more built in, I think. And then another thing that they got to start thinking about, speaking of NXT, is War Games.
Sure.
They got
That's the other thing that's kind of bugging me. And as much as I love War Games, like, I think it's great, and I'm glad that WWE has adapted it in any kind of way that they have. But, like, you have your developmental show doing a better version of what you do the next night.
Yeah.
Like, War Games is better than a Survivor Series match. It's like, it's more final. It's more it's a war.
Yeah.
And Survivor Series, to me, just seems like War Games light.
Yeah. That's pretty much what it was in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because Dusty came up with the War Games, and then 3 months later, it's like, hey, they did a 5-on-5. There are big events coming up. We need something for a pay-per-view idea. Let's do 5-on-5.
Yeah. And the other thing I would love to see them do, and I know they won't, they love these gimmick events like Extreme Rules, Hell in a Cell, Elimination Chamber. But to me, there's only really 2 pay-per-views that should be, well, maybe 3, that should be gimmick related. And that's Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, and Money in the Bank.
Yep. That's it.
All the other ones, like, when the situation calls for, like, if you have 5 top contenders and the champion, guess what? Throw an Elimination Chamber match in there.
Yep.
If it happens to be July, have at.
Right. Instead of,
you don't have to wait for February.
Okay, February we have to have Elimination Chamber because we have to build up to WrestleMania. At least they got rid of that other one, Fastlane. That
was too much.
It was too much because you do Rumble, Elimination Chamber, Fastlane Mania. It was getting too much.
Well, like, how can you sit there and say, oh, Royal Rumble is the road to WrestleMania, but we got 2 big stops on the way there?
Right.
No. Like, by the time we get to WrestleMania, I'm exhausted.
Yeah. Oh, and then what was it? They did the network special, Roadblock.
The Roadblock. Yeah.
I'm like, come on, really? John Moxley or Dean Ambrose at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dean Ambrose challenged Triple H. Like, you tell me you couldn't have just put that match on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah. No, we're going to make it Roadblock to WrestleMania.
Like, if he had just come out there and said, hey, I want to challenge Triple H, I'm going to throw WrestleMania and all kinds of topsy-turviness. Like, that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been a great way to kick off, like, Monday Night Raw, say, the week after, what was it? Fastlane.
Yeah.
And if he come out and been like, I'm going to throw WrestleMania in all kinds of turmoil. I'm calling you out, Triple H. And we got Triple H and Dean Ambrose that night in the main event. It would have kind of been like Rock and Mankind. And you could have created that kind of feel and still had Triple H come out as the champ.
Yep. But instead, let's throw another, I guess.
Yeah, network. Like, I couldn't even tell you another match that went on that show.
Yeah, I don't remember it besides
I mean, if you think about it, it's been almost 7 years, but like,
yeah, they
God,
just
that seems weird to say.
yeah, they just kind of threw it in there.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, what are we like? This November is 10 years from the Shield.
Yeah, it's been that long.
That's nuts.
Yeah, and I remember that Survivor Series when they just came out and everyone was just like, "Who are they? Who are they?"
I had no clue. I'll be honest. I had never seen them before.
Yeah, I knew of. I saw a lot of Tyler Black in Ring of
Okay.
Honor, so I knew.
Yeah, him I had heard of. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
And I
knew
think
how.
I'd gone to something where Ambrose had wrestled at.
Yeah.
Like one of the indie shows in Philly.
Yeah.
But I didn't recognize him right away.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tyler Black, I saw him right away, and I was like, oh man, what's he doing there?
Yeah.
And I immediately identified him as the leader and him as the guy they were going to put the rocket pack on. But of course, then when I saw Roman's physique, I was like, okay, he kind of screams a Vince McMahon guy.
And then, of course, with him being a member of the NOI family,
Yeah.
that doesn't hurt anything.
I'll tell you, I kind of like that they built that as like the first family of WWE.
Yeah.
Like, if there's a family that would deserve it, it's them.
It would be based upon their history with that company.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't have an issue with that at all.
Yeah. No, I mean, because if you think about it, all the other wrestling dynasty families really don't have a tie to WWE like that family does.
Right.
The Rhodes, you could.
I mean, Dusty and the Polka Dots, I get. Like,
yeah.
But like he made his name in Florida Championship Wrestling and like in the NWA, Jim Crockett. Yeah.
And then the one family that I don't get why they never made it to WWE is the Eric sons, Ross and Marshall Von Erich. They've been in MLW for a long time.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Why they never, because they're so big on bringing in second, third generation stars.
Right.
They're third generation, and they're incredible. Tag team.
Yeah, I don't get it. Isn't Scott Hall's kid in wrestling too?
Yes, he was in New Japan for a while as a member of the Bullet Club.
Okay.
And I don't know what Cody Hall. I don't know what he's doing now.
Because I would have thought, man, that would have made like I'm sure he didn't want to be seen as capitalizing on his father's death, and WWE wouldn't want to be seen as doing that. But man, that would have been a nice gesture to be like, hey, so, obviously we're all heartbroken over the loss of your dad. Why don't we just bring you in, see if we can do something with you temporarily, like a short-term thing, and just see where it goes.
And yeah, they did nothing with him, which I'm kind of surprised, especially how close Scott was with Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
Like, I would think it would be so easy to sit there and say, all right, we're going to put together, like, say 4 groups of 4 in like kind of like a G1 kind of tournament block and say, okay, the 4 winners of each block will get together and there will be a match for, say, a contract for an Intercontinental title match and a ladder match. It's the Scott Hall Memorial.
Yeah. That would have been easy to do.
I mean, Scott Hall's known for his ladder match with Shawn Michaels and known for being a 4-time Intercontinental champion.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
It'd be a nice gesture to him. I mean, they've done the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Tournament, which I enjoy every year.
Absolutely. And am I the only one that asks? I mean, I know he was a tag team champion with Dick Murdoch, but like WWE doesn't really acknowledge that. Like, why would Dusty be seen as a tag team guy?
It's because he did have the tag team run with Dick Murdoch. He was an NWA World Tag Team Champion in 84 with Manny Fernandez.
Okay.
84, 85. And then he did have America's Team and the Superpowers. So I guess. But yeah, usually he was a single star.
Right. I mean, he was what, a 3-time WCW, NWA, whatever, world champion?
A 3-time NWA World Champion. I mean,
Yeah.
he and Flair headlined the second and third Starrcade back to back.
Yeah, I actually one time, like right after Dusty's death, I went on a WCW kick and Dusty Rhodes kick and went back and watched the first 3 Starrcades. And those were treats.
They were. They were. I mean, Dusty did that awesome interview too that everyone forgets about. In 83, when he's sitting there, because he just took over the book around that time for Crockett, and said, I want to challenge the winner. And he was just sitting in the audience casually, did an awesome promo, even though he wasn't on the card. But then, 84, 85, I think 84 was when Joe Frazier stopped the match.
Right. And then 85, he wins.
No, he didn't win it in 85 at Starrcade.
Didn't he?
He won it at the Great American Bash 86. 85 was when everyone thought he was going to come back, because that's when the Andersons and Flair broke his leg.
Right. And I'll have to go back and rewatch that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there was some sort of disqualification or something happened that Flair kept the title. And then it was the Great American Bash. They built it all the way to the last night of the Bash 86, where he finally won the title in the steel cage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? That'll be a good little segue for us. Me and my old co-host, we used to have a segment on our show where we would assign homework assignments to each other. And, and I figure a good idea would be that we each assign it, but we each watch both assignments.
Okay.
So we can come up with something, and it has to be something available on Peacock, because that's the only one that I would have access to.
Right.
So it would have to be WWE, WCW, or ECW. And that's really your only parameters. It can be something that we've seen before, something recent. It can be something old that you just want a fresh perspective on, and we can kind of give our takes on the match.
Okay. Yeah, we could do that.
All right. So I guess I'll give you a minute to think about it, and I'll think about what my match would be for you.
Can I be a part of it?
Absolutely. Absolutely, bud. So if you have an idea of a match that you'd like us to watch, by all means, you can have the floor.
Did they do anything, Sean?
He's thinking.
Okay. Hey, that's good.
While you guys are talking about what for each other, I'll think about it.
I'll give you one. Like, it's a WrestleMania match. It's kind of a layup, but to me, it's a very underrated WrestleMania match from a very mediocre to kind of crap WrestleMania.
Okay.
It's WrestleMania 11, Shawn Michaels versus Diesel. To me, it's like absolutely a 5-star. This was the night that I realized that, like, I wasn't just one of those, like, I only root for the good guys wrestling fans.
Right.
That was the night that I realized it's cool to root for the bad guys. It's cool to root for Shawn Michaels.
Okay. Yeah, that's one WrestleMania. Back in college, we used to, now granted, this was late 90s, early 2000s. We would go back in time if it was WrestleMania 17. The 16 nights up until WrestleMania 17, we would watch 1 to 16.
I will do you one better, sir. I am glad you brought that up, because up until this past year, every year from, I want to say, from about like 10 or 11 on, I would watch every WrestleMania in order. Maybe not in like, say if it was WrestleMania 16, I wouldn't watch it like for 15 nights in a row. But like I would have it to where like I had it broken down into like stages. Like, and it was always day after the Royal Rumble. I always took the day after the Royal Rumble off from work, and that's when I would start I called it my road to WrestleMania.
Okay.
And it was I started WrestleMania 1 right after the Royal Rumble went off the air, and it was just straight on through. Like, I mean, anytime I had a spare minute, I was watching a WrestleMania up until 2 years ago.
Okay.
So
Oh,
Okay.
like a couple minutes ago, it was, I think it was 2009. John Cena, Shawn Michaels, and Randy Orton, and there was another guy I think, and I forget.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I know the event you're talking about. Backlash, I think it was. John Cena defended against Shawn Michaels. I think it was JBL and Randy Orton.
Could be.
I don't think it was JBL, but I know John Cena won.
Sure, and it ended with Shawn Michaels super kicking John Cena into the cover.
Or are you talking about when John Cena defended against Triple H and Shawn Michaels?
No, it was Randy Orton,
Okay,
Shawn Michaels, and John Cena.
Okay. I think it might be that JBL match.
Yeah, I think you're right. And that's a good matchup. That's a good pull.
Yeah, it might be the JBL match.
Okay.
Hold on, pull up the match on your phone. Let me see if it's fake.
All right. Well, you look around.
You put it up.
Okay. Let me see here. Backlash 2009. Let's see here.
I knew John Cena won. I knew it was a very good match.
I want to say that would had to have been 2007.
Let's see here.
No, 2007. Well, yeah, wasn't it? Because 2008, they basically did the same kind of match. Only that was when Randy Orton was champion and Randy lost to Triple H.
Let's see. It wasn't. Right.
Maybe it wasn't
2009 Backlash.
So John Cena had the title. He defended. So I think he had the title first. Then he defended it to all the guys. I think.
Okay.
I think you're right. I think it's 2007 is the one you're thinking of.
Let's see here. Um, 2007. John Cena, Randy Orton.
Oh yeah, Edge,
and Shawn Michaels.
There we go. Yeah, Edge. Yeah.
All right, so 2007 Backlash. Okay.
Yeah, I know it was not JBL.
Yeah, and Shawn Michaels, I know, Sweet Chin Music, John Cena into the cover on either Randy Orton or Edge.
Yes.
He gets the win. Yeah.
All right.
It's a nice match.
I got to pull one out of Peacock here. Let's see. I'm going to cheat a little bit.
How?
Because that's what I have to do here.
That's all right. Your dad's a dad. He's very busy these days, so he has to use every resource available.
Yes. You know what? I was going to go like obscure world class wrestling, but they only have the one Texas Supercard on there.
Okay.
Let's see here. So a match.
You know what, guys? I'll give you two options. Either that match or when Donald Trump, and then it was
Vince McMahon, the Battle of the Billionaires.
And then
well, that's a good one too.
Donald Trump shaved Vince McMahon's head off.
Well, you can save that for next week. You already
Yeah, we're gonna do this every week.
All right, so he's ahead of the ball game.
He'll have a whole schedule for us.
Yeah, he's going to be working on this in school. I have a hunch. Like, now let me write this one down. All right, so I got to think of one. I will go with. Let's see. I'm just pulling one out. we were talking about Starrcade. I'm going to go with the Starrcade match.
Oh, okay.
Flair Luger, True Grit, 88.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
So we all know our homework assignments, and we will all have them ready, signed, and notarized by the time we get back here next week.
Yes. I have a hunch.
Right, Sean, thanks for joining us, bud.
Thank you.
I'm sure I'll be watching one of them tonight.
I'm sure I will be as well.
Yes.
Because I know I'm going to have to remember, was it 86 True Grit?
88. Yeah.
Or 88. Okay.
Yeah. Flair Luger.
Yeah, I was trying to think of which one was Skywalker's and which one was True Grit.
Skywalker's was 86 and 87.
Okay.
87 was that disaster when they went to Chicago.
Yeah.
And that was one I didn't understand. Another booking decision that was horrible was when the Road Warriors.
I feel like we could have a special, like a 3-hour special where we talk about bad WCW booking.
We could. We definitely could. Yeah.
And I just have to say before we're going to, like, I know that, like, basically AEW's goal was to be, like, mid-90s WCW. Boy, have they gone from mid-90s WCW to kind of, like, late 90s, early 2000s WCW.
Very quickly.
Yeah, that went off the rails in a hurry.
And the problem was, I think the big problem was when Cody left.
Yeah. Because he gave the company direction. Like, he had, like,
direction. And Kenny and the Bucks just seemed to really care about Kenny and the Bucks.
Yeah, and I feel like Cody was always very much just about the business. Like, and I think it's because he took what he learned from watching his dad do it and from being in WWE and when the way they ran the company. Like, I think he really used all his tools and was so good at. Like, Cody Rhodes is basically. I could see a day 10 to 15 years from now where like WWE booking is basically Triple H and Cody Rhodes just sitting around talking about which guy they want to book where.
Yeah, I definitely can see that.
Like, I could see the two, like, Cody pulls up with a 6-pack and says, all right, let's start booking guys. Like,
yeah, I can
and
definitely
they get out the pad and paper and they just go to town.
They have two great minds for the business.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one guy who I don't get how he does it all the time. Speaking of a great mind for the wrestling business, and it's Double J. He had a senior vice president,
genius,
and then he goes and he's gone. I mean, how he got himself on the SummerSlam pay-per-view as the special guest referee, and then the next night he's main eventing Ric Flair's final match.
His last match. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Oh, gosh. I hope it's his last, but yeah, for now.
He almost died in that match.
The Ric Flair match was just horrible.
It's such a shame because I remember him as just the man. Like, I remember somebody saying, hey, if you're broken down in a car, who would you, or I forget the rest of this, but basically, if you were anywhere and you could have a pro wrestler with you, who would it be? And my answer all the time is, dude, Ric Flair. He may not get you out of that jam, but you're going to have a damn good time with it. Yep. And a hell of a story.
Yeah. And it's just a shame when how he's tarnished his legacy. So,
but thankfully, Charlotte's carrying on his legacy quite well.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I don't know if you've had a chance to watch the Stone Cold podcast with Charlotte Flair yet.
Not yet. I do want to see it. The Stone Cold podcast, I like them, but sometimes it's hard.
It's a commitment. Like, you got to really be into it, and you can't like just kind of half-ass it. You can't put it on when you're like. I have a habit of putting shows on when I'm like ready to fall asleep, and and I miss half the show.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. But I did rewatch it with the A&E biography about WrestleMania.
Yes, I watched that as well. That was really good.
I was starting to fall asleep, and then I really wanted to watch that one, and I ended up catching it another day, and that one was really good.
Yeah.
of this
I
season.
really enjoyed that. And I mean, I knew it was kind of an all-in thing. Like, when I first saw some of the previews for it, I'm like, what am I going to hear here that I didn't already know? And the stuff about, like, he owed, like, a bunch of people money and was waiting for this big payoff from WrestleMania, and he was going to pay people off that way. And I was like, oh, man.
Yeah.
Like, basically, if WrestleMania wasn't a huge hit, the company was going to go under.
Yep. Yeah, I knew he owed money to his dad, to Gorilla, to Arnie. But, like, I didn't realize the other thing was that I thought was great was how they got David Wolf on the show.
Yeah.
And the producer from MTV. And the VJ, Alan Houston or Hudson.
Yeah, Alan Hudson, yeah.
That was amazing how they got all them to be on the show, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it still blows my mind that the main event of WrestleMania was a tag match.
Originally, I heard there was a bunch of different plans for it. It could have been Hogan Piper, which would have made the most sense.
Right. Your top babyface against the top heel for the top prize.
Right. Another one that I heard, it could have been just been a conspiracy theory, was it was going to be a 6-man match.
Oh, wow.
But Bob
that would have really made a crap.
Right.
What would have been Snuka with Hogan and Tate and
Orton with Piper and Orndorff.
Oh, that would have been bad.
Yeah, I heard that was a possibility.
Well, thankfully we didn't have that to worry about.
Yeah. I still can't believe the only WrestleMania, I think, when their championship was not defended was WrestleMania 1.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the only one without the championship defended. For a bonus bit of trivia, do you know the only WrestleMania without a title change?
Without a title change. Let's see here.
It's somewhat recent.
Huh.
WrestleMania 29?
Close. WrestleMania 27.
I was going to say, the title didn't change at 27. I was trying to rack my brain.
Yeah, because that's when The Miz retained against John Cena.
Right. That was the year my friends were disappointed because my wife and I got married in 2011. Mm-hmm. They were all saying, for your bachelor party, it's got to be WrestleMania. Got to be WrestleMania. But
yeah.
We didn't.
You've been hogging up all the talking. Can I say something?
Of course.
Sure, buddy.
Do you have any WrestleMania match you want me to see?
A WrestleMania match I want you to see?
Yeah. I mean, like a match you want me to see.
Just a match? Okay. Well, I'll give you another one. I'll give you a John Cena match for you.
Okay.
John Cena, Randy Orton from Breaking Point.
Okay, you put on the episode later.
Okay.
It's a good match. You'll enjoy it. It's about everything John Cena preaches: hustle, loyalty, respect, and about not giving up.
Yeah. And that was a good one, that match.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. When did the one time John Cena tap out in his career? What match was that?
I don't even remember that.
I don't know that he tapped out. He passed out against Rusev, and they called it a submission.
I remember that. Yeah, I don't remember him actually tapping out. I think.
Yeah.
Well, didn't Pat McAfee and Michael Cole said he only tapped out once in his career?
I think it was they counted it as a submission, but he never submitted. He passed out from the pain.
Yeah.
That's how they built that.
So he technically never tapped out?
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
Wait, was that tribute to the troops?
No, that was Rusev. I forget.
That was No Way Out, I want to say.
Yeah, it had to be
Fastlane, whatever it was. Yeah.
It was right before WrestleMania 31.
Right. And then he won the US title against Rusev at WrestleMania. And then beat Rusev in the I Quit match. Yeah.
Right. which Rusev had the greatest WrestleMania entrance.
Yes, he did. Coming in on that freaking tank, that was
On
awesome.
the Army tank, that was great.
Boy, his character wouldn't go over too big these days.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, speaking about.
Now I wonder if he's one of these guys who's going to come back.
See,
I would love to see him come back.
I was gonna say, speaking about big machines, remember when Roman Reigns against Brock Lesnar, he made him fall out of the ring
Yes.
with that, what was it
Yeah,
called?
it's SummerSlam with the tractor.
Yes, my friend asked me about that at All Out when he came over. I was just like, I don't know what to expect of that one.
It was funny.
It was.
It was funny, sure.
It was something
Oh
different.
yeah, and I love the face of Paul Heyman when Roman Reigns had the title. Brock Lesnar came back.
Yeah.
The face of Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
It was.
The shock of it all.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
He didn't know like who to pick.
Yeah.
And then
That
he
was
stick
great
with the Reigns.
with that build up.
That really was, yeah. And then when briefly we thought when Paul Heyman was back with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's about it for tonight. We have our homework assignments. Like I said, everybody have them signed and notarized by the time we get back here next week. Until then, Mike, anything to add?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, Sean, anything to add, buddy?
Wait, what did he say?
Anything? You want to say anything? The show's over. So.
Thank you for letting me on the show, and I'm excited to be super popular.
There you go.
Awesome, man. Excited to have you. That was a good time.
It was.
Oh yeah, my second favorite wrestler is Finn Balor.
Okay.
Okay. Have a great night, everybody. And
You
happy
too.
wrestling.
Yeah.